Hi, my name is Magnus Jangar Hutu, and with me I have
Alexander Haltner.
Yeah, and we've made this Papero.io that we're going to present for you today. All right, so we can head into so we thought we'd first talk a little bit about what Papero is, and then do a quick web UI demo, and then a deep dive into the API a bit, and talk a little bit about upcoming features and our services, and then wrap it up with a quick summary. All right, so let's head into it. What is Papero.io? Papero.io is what we like to call HTML to PDF as a service. So the core of it is that we take HTML, all the things you use in a web development environment, and bundle it up into a PDF. So we convert the HTML to PDF. So we host and manage a scalable system that we keep up to date at all times, and we make sure that it uses the latest web standards. With that, the CSS, JavaScript, and HTML.
Yeah, and that's what's really nice, that everything that basically works in your browser will work with Papero as well. So you're not limited to some ancient version of HTML or held back by no support for JavaScript or some strange CSS engine or an old fork of WebKit, which some services use. So that's the part we really stress is unique and what's important for us.
Yeah. So if it works in your browser, it works. It will look the same in the PDF. And we also host an easy and accessible API with, as it says in the presentation, a streamlined integration. All right. So let's check out the front end. Oh no, wait. Us. Yeah. So I'm Magnus, and I do the front end parts of the service. So the application, front end application, and the landing page is my responsibilities basically. Oh, right. Just quick about me as well. I have a master's degree from Chalmers in interaction design, UX, and I've been a developer for about a little bit more than 5 years now.
My name is Alexander Haltner, and I do most of the backend and infrastructure on Papero, and I've been a hacker for all my life, basically. So I built my first websites in 2001, and actually had my first profitable online-based business by 2006. Yeah, that's very short about me.
Yes.
So let's continue with the UI demo then.
Yes. All right. So if we hop on over to the website. So this is the landing page, and we have a sign-in button over there where we can log in. So this is the basic login page where we can log in and sign up. So what we're presented here is a view with the latest converted documents. And you can convert documents using a URL. For example, haltner.se. And we see that it's in progress, and now it's finished. And we can do it again as many times as we want. And if we look at PDF, it turns out like this. So this is Alexander's personal portfolio page here. And it looks sweet in the PDF form as well. And we can also upload this is how it looks. And we can also upload files using the browse. Do you have any file that you could? Yeah. All right. We have a toll declaration that we did for a quick demo. So if we check it out here, It's basically a customs declaration with some data, and this is all made in HTML and CSS. So, yeah. And we can also, and in the navigation here, we have history for more previously converted documents. Here we can check them out. And then we have settings where we can create API keys currently. And here I will leave it for Alexander, and we will deep dive a little bit more into the API.
Yeah. So to use the API, you want to have an API key. So quite easily you create an API key by pressing create API key, and then you can name your API key. This is just so you know maybe which server integration it's associated with. It's optional, but for now I'll name it Innovation Bay. And I can revoke it at any time, so it can no longer be used. Here we get the actual secret key for our API. So this one will never be shown again. It's basically discarded from our side. We can just validate that the signature is correct and that the key is not revoked. But other than that, we don't store the actual key. And that's also something we think is important, to not store unnecessary data. So we always delete all jobs on a regular basis, and you can delete them yourself manually after they're done. And we only keep the fact that you've created a job long term, not only for counting the number of jobs. So here we have our API documentation linked from the API keys done. So I copied the API key, and then I can read here about our API. Basically, it's very easy to use. So we have some examples of the login. If you want to use the login API, now we've already created a token, so we don't really need to do that. We can test the token, for instance. And what's interesting for most of you is actually creating jobs, reading jobs. So to create a job, you basically post either a link to a web page, or you can post HTML directly if you specify the input type as HTML. And once that's done, you can read the job from the ID, and you will get out a document in your data where you will have a link to the completed PDF. And we also have a playground based on the Swagger UI, so you can easily start playing around with the API directly. And here we can see that we can put in our API key, or we can log in with our account. So I'm putting in my API key, and now I can, for instance, test my token just to see that it actually works. And we can see that we get our user back. It works. And we can look at jobs we've created. So let's look at that. And here we can see we uploaded an HTML file. So there's an embedded file here. And then we can see some data about the jobs. We can see the URL for the PDF. We can see when it completed, info about it. And we can see that the time from creation to completion is 0.02 seconds in this case, and that's about the average that we have, so it's very fast overall. So let's try to create a new job via the API. So basically this is everything you need to know when you use it yourself. So there are some other fields you can also provide, but they are fully optional. But for instance, you can name your job, and you can also specify the output type. We only support HTML and URLs as input and PDF as output at this point, but we might support more in the future. So that's why we support that as well. So let's use my website again to try this out. Let's add our job. And we can see we get a job ID back. then we can actually read that job. And you can see that you get the PDF file back. So this is basically everything you need to know to be able to use the service. It's very easy, just post your data and get your PDF back. And that's the idea, that it should be very easy to use, and there should be no special syntax or anything special. We just use web standards, and nothing should be unexpected for you. So this is basically very quickly the API, and everything is documented with open API specs. All the types of all the data is typed here, and we use these specs ourselves both for testing and for generating API clients for the front end. So we dog food our own specs, but let's take a little bit a look at what comes next. So what we went through now was the web UI demo or the API demo, but soon we will be launching templates as well. So we use something called nunchucks, which is based on Jinja 2, or basically a re-implementation of Ninja 2. Basically, the most simple case is that you have a tag, as you see here in the text, where you have the double brackets and the name. So this is a variable called name, but you can do some other things as well, like loops and stuff. And then that's replaced by your data. This allows you to just push in JSON data to our API and get a PDF back based on a template you've uploaded before or a template we've created for you. So by doing that, you can create PDFs, but you will also be able to create them in bulk by sending a list of JSON data. And I'm going to show you a demo of how that works. So basically, we have this up and running on our API here on our demo server. So we have our Papero CLI, which we're going to use for this part of the demo. And let's do Papero job. And let's start with doing a simple HTML job. And here we can see we get a link. And here we have the completed. So this is the same file we saw before with the customs declaration. And then we also created a template based on this customs declaration. So all the data here can be input from JSON. So basically, the customs declaration HTML is created once as a template. And then we have JSON data. So if we look into the JSON files here in data, let's take a slightly smaller file for ease. So here we have some fields, which is basically the same data you saw in the generated file. So what we did now was just show you with predefined data. That's why the file is named with data. But now we're gonna do it with one without data. So this HTML doesn't have any data, so we're going to send in the file we just looked at, and it's working. We get our completed version, and as you can see here, we have some other data now. So this was the one we had before. You see we have some more items and stuff, and here some other items, and everything comes from the JSON file. And beyond that, we can also do this in bulk. So let's do the bulk Papero add bulk job. So this is basically the same, but this time we have a list of these objects. And you can see we get 4 jobs, and it's still quite quick. So I'm just going to take a random one in the middle here. And as you can see, here we have some others. And now we have gum. Before we have bananas in a box. And before that, we had some different items. So you can see we get different data, and it's generated from the same template. So that's something that we think is really useful. And yeah, the idea is that this CLI will also be publicly available for our customers, so they can use it if they want to integrate, or they can use the provided client library, or just use the API, which is quite simple to use as well. So that's it for the demo. So let's go ahead then. Should we take?
No, you can.
Yeah, so we have a couple of different plans, basically from starter to established business, and we have different amounts of PDFs you get for free included. If you use up all your PDFs that's included, the plan basically scales linearly, so you will pay basically the same amount per extra PDF after that. And from small business and up, we offer all the API access and stuff like that. For starter, that's more just to get started and familiar with the service. So we don't currently provide API access there. So, and services. So we do offer some consultancy services as well. So we can help you, for instance, with creating templates, so creating the HTML, or if you need help with integrating with the system, or something else, maybe you have some feature you want fast-tracked or want added, we can probably help you with that as well. But we're not going to go too much into that right now. So in summary, it's HTML to PDF as a service. We maintain the system and make sure that the conversions happen fast. So we always keep our servers over provisioned. We have a lot of workers. I think we have over 100 right now, and we can basically turn a slider to increase the number of PDF workers. It's based on an async queue system, so it's very scalable. And if we would get higher load, we wouldn't just crash. We would just get a slightly longer queue, and we would be able to quickly adapt our service based on that.
Yeah. So easy to use web UI and API, and you basically post a URL or an HTML payload, and then you get your link to your PDF, and that's it. Easy as that.
Yeah.
All right. So that concludes the presentation. Thank you for your time. So basically, where we are now in the service is that we're looking to get customers and looking to get some really nice features out there. So what we're looking for is kind of an input on how to get to the customers, how to find
reach the right people who would be interested. Especially, we want to find some customers we could collaborate with more closely in the beginning. So we don't want to go fully public and just sell it by credit card quite yet. We just want to get some feedback and polish stuff further and find someone who needs this kind of features and would love some input on how we could come in contact with the right people. In the meantime, we also focus on finishing up the templating stuff we showed you now. So in the next release, we will have that in the public version as well.
Yeah. So how do we view everyone?
We
need
can
to stop share.
We can probably turn off the screen sharing.
We have one question in the chat, and I can read it to you if you want. Are you also evaluating and running JavaScript? For example, a React page that fetches data with Ajax?
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's what we wanted to try to stress, that, or what I tried to fill in for Magnus. But yeah, we want everything that works. If it works in Chrome, for instance, then it should work at Papero, because we basically took the engine out from Chrome and built our infrastructure around that. So basically, we want to offer a service around that and have it very scalable, resilient, and foolproof. And we handle all the tricky edge cases and errors. And
so if it works in Chrome, it works
right
now. So, but except for animations, I guess that's
of course you. But I mean, basically, if you could if you could print it to your printer from Chrome, then it would work.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, I have a question. If I understood it correctly, you get a link to the PDF, but how do you store it locally and keep it for a longer period?
So basically, the way we have it right now, the idea is that you as user would integrate with our service and download that PDF to your server, and based on which plan you have, we either store it for 1 day, 7 days, or 30 days, and we can make that shorter as well. But our core idea isn't to store PDF; it's more about creating them, and we have ideas about integrating directly with, for instance, S3 for Amazon, so a customer could have them uploaded automatically to their buckets. But for the MVP phase, we provide a link from our CDN, and you can download it from there, basically.
Yeah. The system fetches it from the URL we provide.
Okay. And how does it work if you want to use the template version and you want to add graphics? Like you have the JSON file with all the data, but you want to add graphics to the template. How does that work?
So yeah, that's actually something we've discussed. And right now, the way we support that is basically you can link an external graphics. So it would be fine to host it wherever you can host graphics. And if it's something that customers see that they need, we will maybe look into being able to store that on our service as well. So you don't need to have it. But right now, the template is basically the plain HTML file, and you can link external resources like you do on any HTML page.
That's a nice feature as well.
Yeah.
So if we see if people want it, like you say, then we will probably
then we will add it
more. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
We have one more question in the chat. Do you use any specific channels for market your services, and do you have any users running the services today?
So we don't have any particular channels like that yet. I mean, we've posted a little bit on LinkedIn when we've been building. It's been a side project for us now for some time, since sometime last year. Yeah. So, but now we're getting to the level of polish where we want to start to onboard customers. And earlier this spring, I had a dozen interviews with some people who could potentially have been customers, or who had done things like this before, used something that needed to create PDFs in their applications. And based on that, we, for instance, built the templating features because that was one thing we saw that a lot of customers wanted, and something that simplifies a lot.
Yeah. Like the customs declaration was something that one.
For a potential customer who wanted to use it to generate these custom slips for different countries, and we just took the Swedish one as an example just to show how we could achieve that. But receipts is another great use case, or maybe if you have reports. So we have some internal demo examples where we generate graphs with JavaScript, so you could use D3 or charts.js or high charts or whatever you want to generate your graphs, and then you could create a PDF report, and then you could mail that out to your stakeholders, whatever. So that's another thing that we think could be useful. I mean, whatever you need, where you need to create PDF files, there's a lot of use cases probably that we haven't thought about yet.
I don't know. One more. How did you come up with the idea, and did you do any market research to see the market's needs?
Yeah, so basically, I think we've both felt the pain about dealing with PDFs.
Yeah. We've been working with that for in our previous jobs. Basically.
Yeah, and use tooling that doesn't quite get there, or maybe either they use their own syntax, which is very hard to work with, or maybe it's built on some Illustrator script that's not really scalable when building a bigger service, or it's like a botched version. Like we've used some old WebKit based forks. There's like some WebKit to HTML PDF something. Yeah,
we've seen that there's a lot of people who are using these converters into PDF from different, probably from Word, like things like that, to PDF, and we're just trying to make that easier, the conversion, and just not.
And we talked with, like I said, I had some interviews earlier this spring, which we based our efforts on. Yeah, the past couple of months with features based. Yeah, and that was basically with people who had different, like some was a big company that did some forecasting, and they needed to basically be able to send purchase orders or suggestions to their customers based on this forecasting, and they wanted to be able to generate PDFs for that. So that's like one. Now they had already done that, but they had lots of troubles with the software they used. So basically, those kind of people were the people we tried to interview to get some feedback on, yeah, if it makes sense. And what I heard from pretty much all of those we talked with is that if service would have existed when they built their solutions, they would happily have used it instead of what they were using.
We've had a lot of this.
Yeah, so it feels like right now we need to reach out to the kind of people who are at the point right now where they want to build something with PDF soon, maybe like e-commerce or shipping companies, or anyone with reports that needs to be generated and things like that.
Okay, thank you. If we don't have any more questions, we're gonna go on to the next presentation. But I will send the contact information for both Alexander and Magnus afterwards. So if you have any like tips or tricks or ideas, or if you want to get in contact with them, you can. You will have their emails afterwards. Yeah, let's go to the next presentation. And thank you so much, Magnus and Alexander.
Thank you for having us.
Hello. Can everyone hear me? This is the most important question.
Yes, we hear you.
Great. So let me share my presentation. Yes. And yes, present FI.
Now your camera is turned off again.
Okay, my presentation is camera shy, maybe. Okay, now my camera is here. Hello. Hi everyone, my name is Junaid Jasani, and I'm like a founder of this startup called TheiShare, and our vision is to digitize all the assets. For example, why we come up with this idea? What was the concept behind it? If we see our daily life, we have so many stuff in our house, like sports equipment, power tools, bikes, etc., etc. And we use very rarely. Okay, I have a question to everyone. The first thing is this: how many of you use bike every day? It would be great if I can get some answers in the chat. If you use bike or not, that's a question number 1. And question number 2, how many minutes do you use bike in a day? Because I really want to have an interaction, so I know like where the audience is. Not every day, good. But if you use it, how many minutes people usually use it?
We have 2, not every day. 1 answer is every day. 1 is
Never.
never.
I think you and me, Anders, you and me are on the same page.
1 is 35 minutes a day.
Yeah.
About 20 minutes a week.
Yeah. Very good. So last year when I did my research, I asked a lot of different group of people, and those who had bike, like who bought a bike to go to the work and back. So these guys were using a bike 40 minutes a day. 20 minutes go to the work and 20 minutes back. So it means out of 24 hours, we have a one resource that is used only for 40 minutes. So that was an idea first. And if we see our sports equipment, power tools, I think we use very rarely, but still it's in our house. And the second thing, when it comes to the sharing, there is no simple way to share or rent physical assets instantly. If you have some digital assets, you can share very easily. But if it's a physical asset, then it's not possible to share. By the way, the iShare, the I represents instant. So it's an instant sharing. And the last one is this availability. For example, if you make your own group of what you call like a bike pool or something, or a pool where you can share the assets, but you have no idea about availability and accessibility of assets. For example, if I want to use a power tool 8:30 in the morning, but I don't know like if it's available or can I get it now. So these are like a 3 issues that we have in daily life when it comes to a physical asset. And in order to avoid these things, we just buy it for once and maybe never use it. And this is a solution that we come up with. We come up with a solution that should be simple, instantly accessible by scanning QR code. And people do not need to own these assets. And we are just digitizing all the assets that could be rented instantly without any physical contact. And assets can be available 24/7 and can be accessible anytime. And this was our theory. And now I'm coming to very fun use case, because last year we were presenting this idea to different industries, from bike industry to container industry to storage, any place that we could see. Okay, here it could be digitally, what we call it, like a digitization is possible. That was an idea. And then suddenly we got a very interesting case, and the case was about how about if you guys can digitize the kayaks. Kayaks is one of the most popular water sports, but the biggest problem with the kayaks is these are not digitized. So you have to go to somewhere, either you need to book a kayak, go pick it up, and then you need to see the availability of kayak, etc., etc. And at the same time, we were doing some research with the customers, like end users, and end user really think that there is a very good case. And then we presented our case to local municipality, and we say, hey, this is what we are coming up with. We are aiming to digitize the kayaks. So, but we need your help so we can get a permission to put our stand with kayaks on the beach, and people can try out. And these are like a steps. You just download app, scan the QR code on kayak, and then take everything like a paddle and life jacket from the box once kayak is unlocked, and have fun. Once you are done, then just return the kayak on the same place and lock everything back, and that's it. And we presented at least 7 different municipalities, and 3 places are already live. 2 are in Kungsängen, and then the last one is at Karlsbaden, Järfälla. So what is the idea over there? Like these kayaks are over there. People just go there, scan the QR code, pay the money for per hour, kayaks are unlocked, and then paddles and everything is in this small box next to the kayaks, you can see. So people can just use it and then go into the waters, have fun. Once they are done, then come back. And we went live with this concept for like 1 month ago. Even it's very cold weather, cold water, but still people are using kayaks every day. And these kayaks are available from 24/7. This was a very small example how we can digitize one physical asset. And last week we got a very interesting case from one of the municipalities. They want to digitize all the sports equipments. And by doing this thing, the local residents do not need to buy equipments by themselves. They can just go to the sports, idrottplats, like a play, and then just all type of equipments will be there. People just scan the QR code, choose their favorite equipment, use it, and then leave on the same place. And by doing these things, we are reducing a lot of like a consumerism. Like everyone do not need to buy their own equipment. They can just use the equipment when it is needed. These are the places where you can go and try the kayaks by yourself. Right now, 3 are available. Naka will be available from Friday, and then Butcherka and more. And then we come up with the same idea for the companies. Now we were looking into different companies, how companies and housing societies solve their daily like a last mile issue. For example, if I live in Kungsängen and then I want to go to the bus stop or train station, I do not need to own my own bike. If the housing society is having a bike, I could just scan the QR code, rent a bike or use a bike and leave on the station. And if someone is coming from the station to home, they can just use the same bike. With this concept, everyone do not need to own their own bikes. And it will create like a lot of sustainability and efficient use of existing resource. And last year, I was working with one of the startups, and they are just doing kind of a bike pool thing. And over there, we look into the numbers. If any housing society or any company is having 10 bikes, and these 10 bikes are enough for 50 to 80 people, it means if 50 people are buying their own bikes to use the same route, the same thing can be reduced by 10 bikes, and it will still be working as before. And this were like a kind of one of our use cases where what we will own, what the company will own, and how everything will work. So in that case, we just provide a technology like GPS trackers, logs, and we are responsible of adding new features and maintaining the platform. And the local company will be responsible for maintaining the physical assets and will be able to set the price or hourly or monthly or whatever. And user will be connected with the local company, not with the share with the iShare. iShare is just like a SaaS technology that anyone can use it. And for further, we are thinking to go to the digitizing storage in real estate properties. That's a very interesting area. And I think if we do this thing, then many storage can be reused efficiently and people can put a lot of things that they have in their house. They can use the storage spaces. And same, digitize sport equipments and power tools. And we are trying to work with the housing societies and the sports club and collaborate with the bike companies and offer their bike as a subscription. So for example, if we talk to one of the local bike company and they are selling a bikes, so we can offer our technology and then this company can offer bike as a subscription. It means consumers do not need to buy, or users do not need to buy a bike. They can just use a bike when they need it. If they do not need bike anymore, they can just cancel the subscription and return the bike to the bike company or to the us. So it depends how we are gonna sign the contract. So this is our like overall concept, and increased digitization of our physical assets in our real world. And that's it.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
No questions. Hi.
Yeah, I can start. Unai, thanks for the presentation. Really interesting. Just for my understanding, so you're not mainly targeting like the consumer to consumer market, if I understand you. Like I don't know if you heard about there is a service or an app called Hygglo, Hygglo. Which is like renting your own stuff to other people in your community. Like you have a trailer, you have a drill, you have some tool, you have camera, whatever, and then you can rent it from your neighbor or your from a community. But if I understand, your idea is more from company to consumer.
Exactly. So here, like, there's one big issue with Hygglo. We were doing some market research, why our product would be better than Hygglo. That was like one of the things. Why not them? Because the problem is this with Hygglo, you need to request, you need to book, you need to check the availability, accessibility. How far is this? In today's world, I think people don't have so much time and passion. What they want, if I want now, I want now. Just imagine, like, if you talk to one of the housing society. This is example, and we give our shelf to the housing society. Okay, this is the shelf. These are the box with the lock, and you guys can put your own stuff in these boxes. For example, like one housing society in Natka, this Mustat training says, hey, in this is a very family Mustat area. In one box, we put a lot of toys. So for example, if some family wants a toys, they can scan the QR code, rent a toys and get this box from here and use it. And when they're done, they can put on the same place and lock it. They can put the second box for power tools. Okay, here is a power tool. You don't need to buy. You can use it. The third box could be something different, like massager or some massage machine or whatever. With this, they have a different type of things, and the entire housing society, they do not need to buy their own things. They do not need to ask anyone. They see, okay, we go into this area and we can see which boxes are available. We just have an app, we scan it, we pay it, we unlock it. This would be like a new way of making money for the housing society. Because in that case, housing society will be making money because as they are maintaining it. So this was like one example. And the same thing goes with a sports equipment. If you talk to one of this sport club and they start renting out all this ice skating shoes. So if I'm going to ice skate, I do not need to own my own ice skating shoes for like 15 or 20 minutes. The box is already there and I can do whenever I want. So this type of things we are trying to reduce it. And with Hygglo, this was the biggest problem. Like you need to ask, you need to wait, you need to have this physical interaction for no reason. And I think in today's world, people really are not willing to see each other or giving and back and forth. And this is what we really saw in our this kayaking that we just recently launched. When we were standing over there, nobody came near to the kayak station. Literally, everyone was scared. I don't know what's going to happen. Then we just went away like 100 meters, and we were just looking like, it just reminds me National Geographic, where these photographers are taking a picture of these animals. We had this type of situation where we were like 100 meters away and looking to the people, and people were more easy. They just say, go, scan the QR code, unlock it, use it, and they were more happy. And once they finish the service, and I say, hey, I'm running this scam. So please just give me 2 minutes. What do you think? And everyone said, yes, this is a much easier idea, because now I do not need to buy my own kayak. And this kayak is like my own kayak. It is like a 24/7. And I just use a kayak when I'm in the water. I cannot use my kayak in my house. So with this, they say, okay, I do not need to carry to the beach. Everything is over there, and other people can use the same thing. And the question is this: how does it work with sports equipment and any other smaller items? Yes, we have made our own locker box. We will show this locker box within a week. Right now, this is like in a prototype phase, and I'm doing all the testing. Once it is done, then this locker box will be available. And we don't believe in selling things, so here everything is in TheiShare. You can just buy as a subscription. So when locker box will be available, you can just subscribe on locker box, and this locker box will have all the payment solutions and everything. Just buy it, put it in your housing society or in your office. For example, the same thing goes with the developers bay. Developers bay asks to all the consultant guys, what is the thing that you buy quite often but use once in a week? And we just make a one shelf of this 9 or 10 things. And this would be a very good reason for consultants or for employees to visit the office in the Corona time. And they can just scan it. Oh, yes, it's available. I scan it. I take the box with me. And once I'm done with it, I just put the box on the same bin. And this would create kind of a developers bay community. And with this, by doing this thing, if you put like 11 items or 9 items, everyone in this company will save around 10 to 15,000 kroners a year, because we buy things only for maximum half an hour or 45 minutes in a week. For example, like power tools, this drill machine, I have 3 drill machines and I use just once in a year. It's a wastage of resource, and this would be reused very easily. And same thing goes with this bike maintenance kit. When we were doing research, then we really found a very interesting case. We say, okay, how many of you really want to do a bike? So we asked 200 people. Everyone said, yes, bike is amazing. We want to use a bike. This is the future, etc., etc. And then we ask one of the difficult questions: how many of you maintain a bike? Only 30% people say yes, they're interested. The other people say, hey, we don't have a kit, we don't have this, we don't have this, and then we lose the motivation. So just we put a one box with the kit. Then people do not need to think second time. Hey, kit is there. I just go scan, take it, use it, and put it back. So this is the future that I want to create in this world. We should just instantly share our physical assets. And if we can do this thing, then we are not going to save money, we are going to save the environment, and we are going to create a new type of economy. Because in that case, it's not going to us who is going to make money. It's going to the person who is going to own the assets. If developer bay is owning an asset, then they are getting an extra money. to run this thing, and everything is digitized. So you know, like who is accessing, where the assets are, everything. So that thing we have done this thing, and a great idea. And I'm just reading question. Great idea. I'm running a startup with similar idea, but only with cars. We also have this digital process where you do not need to go to hand over keys, and you don't target cars. Actually, now I'm gonna go one step back. We have built our own technology called Frekis. Frekis is our like kind of a cloud-based platform, and over there we are just like, if you go like a one steps back, like a little back, is stopping someone to use an asset. Like if there is a house, what is the thing that you cannot enter in the house? Is the lock, right? Same goes with a car. If you want to start a car, then you need the first step to unlock a car, and this type of things. So over there, we are working and we are building our own cloud-based platform where we want to enable other startups like you who can just use our technology and then digitize your car thing. And then over there, you can make your own what you call like a kind of a car sharing solution, much easier. So in Frekis, right now we have just added our own blocks, and we are working with the IoTs, different type of IoTs. For example, like one IoT that we just found with the kayaks. We were looking into this lake, and someone asked, okay, if I want to know, like, you know, Malaran Lake, that's very big. So someone was asking us if I want to know where are the fish, so I can just go there and do the fishing. So we just found that type of sensor. If you put this sensor in the kayak, and this sensor is connected with the Share Kayak app, then you can see how deep is the water on that particular point and what type of creatures are inside. But this type of technology will be added in the Frekis platform, so other companies and other startups can use it. So over there, we are building this. If you go and check this Frekis.com, over there you can read more about our technology. And this is a pure B2B/cloud solution that enable IoT for another type of companies, because some companies may not be interested to use iShare product. They want to make their own branding. And we also want to target them because they are on the same mission as we are. So instead, they are building everything by themselves. They just use our cloud solution and launch their product in less time. And if they need any more tools or any more thing from us, we will be adding new features for them so they can support their customers in a better way than we do. So you sure, if you want, we can have more discussion about this and we can go through more of it.
I have one question. How do you market this? It sounds like you reach out to companies that you want to work with. Do you market it in any other way, or how do you do?
Actually, like here, the best marketing is you just ask the questions to different people. Because right now we are in the early stage and we are in the product validation phase. Like 3 months ago, when I presented this idea to developers bay, over there it was the idea was a bike is a subscription. So the idea was like if developer bay can get some bikes from iShare on a subscription base and build their own bike pool. And then over there I get some feedback, yes, it's a good idea, but it will not work for XYZ reason. And this is how we talk to the different people. So I believe right now the first thing that we need help from developers with is like a different type of customer segments. Like people come to us and they say to us, hey, I have this physical product. How can you make this in a digitized way? Like last time when we present our idea of kayaking to municipality, they like the idea. They say it's a great idea. Everything is good. But now we have another case. We want to digitize all our sports equipments like a hockey stick, like a golf stick. Can you do this thing? We said yes, and now we are working on this prototype with them. And once it's done, then I think this can scale up very fast in all municipalities. This was and this type of cases we want. Like we want where people are having a trouble. Like kayak was a very good example. Everyone wants to do a kayak. I have never heard anyone that says no. But no one wants to buy a kayak. No one wants to drag a kayak from home to the beach. And definitely no one wants to maintain a kayak. It's just like it costs 10,000 kroners, 15,000 kroners just for 15 minutes fun. So this type of things we are just asking people, and we are presenting our idea to different forums. And then people come up with their own thoughts, and we just try to help them. So this is like our kind of a marketing strategy, like a very hardcore, lean, agile startup strategy, I would say, where you don't have any money to invest anything to the marketing.
Yes, thank you. And now it's 1 o'clock, so we need to start wrapping it up. But I will send your contact information as well to everybody that participated today. So feel free to contact Unite if you have any ideas or questions or anything.
Sure, because this is what we are looking for. So to be honest, we don't want to run everything by ourselves. We are just building our technology, and then we want to help others so they can use our technology and have a better solution for their audience.
Perfect. Thank you, Unite, and thank you, Alexander and Magnus, and thanks everybody for participating